All right. So what I'm going to show you in this video is a quick demonstration on how you can populate the templates for the Polyhedron. You're going to be able to put your own artwork on the faces. So I'm going to go ahead and click this link in the handout to open the folder. And I just want to make sure that I right click on and download each of the templates. You may not end up using all of them, but let's try that again. But you want to have a copy of all of them, so you give yourself the option to use them. The most advanced is the dodecahedron. That's 12-sided. Each face is a pentagon. I think the easiest would be the cube. So let's look in Photoshop at each of those templates. Whoop. Go ahead and double click the hand here. So the cube has square faces. It's going to be pretty easy to assemble. So here's what I would recommend. Start there, and if you find success, by all means, go ahead and add your artwork to any and all of the templates and print as many as you would like to have. These make a nice gift. So I'm going to go and grab one of the floating windows, bring it over here onto my monitor. I'm going to go into my digital art demo file folder. I've got a number of different artworks that I made this year, but I think I'm going to go ahead and grab maybe just this interesting self-portrait kind of file that I made. So I did a blind contour and added a bunch of patterning to it. There it is. I am going to drag and drop this into my template. It's a little on the large side, so I'm going to shrink it down and just try to have it fill the face. So it's not a square drawing by its nature, so I don't think it looks good when you stretch things out. I don't think I'm going to stretch it out. I think what I'll probably do is end up cropping it. So I'll make my image larger to fill up the face. I'll hit the check. But then I think what I'm going to do is use my magic wand tool. Click and hold on the W, get the magic wand. I'm going to select that section, and I'll do a quick layer mask. So I'll do layer mask, reveal selection. So that is only going to show the part of my image that was inside the box. And from there, I can use my move tool, and I can drag these faces out to fill the rest of the page. Okay, and I don't think I'm going to leave them all right side up. In fact, I think I'm going to do Control T, and maybe I'll rotate 180 for that one. This one here, maybe I will Control T to free transform, and I'll rotate it 90 clockwise. I should nudge that over so that it's in the template. Good. And maybe I'll have these spread around a little more, maybe even opposite one another. And alt click and drag. So I've basically made 6 copies of what I have. Now when I look in my layers window, just float it out here, you can see all 6 of the images I've placed on there. I even had one I was going to use like a family photo, but I don't think I'll use that for now, so I'll just delete that extra layer. Yep. So I have my background, which came with the template. Okay. And then from here I've got all my different faces. I'm going to go ahead and use the move tool and just kind of click and nudge them around. I don't want to block the little outlines, because that's going to show me where to fold when I have it printed out. So I'm just going to kind of nudge and make sure everything's sitting where I need it to sit. All right, good. So I'm going to hit Control S to save it. Now the first time you save, it's going to go from a JPEG to a PSD because we have multiple layers. That's how you want it. So just throw your first or last name on this, so we'll know that the work belongs to you. Go ahead and save a copy or export a JPEG or PNG so that you have a flat version you can put in your sketchbooks temporarily until you get the time to print. It's a good way to show what you have so far. Right. Also, you could print these at different sizes. It's an 8.5 by 11. I'm initially going to print it like that, but you could also scale it up if you wanted to make a large cube. Okay, so that's how you do a cube. Let me save that file, and I'll do a version of either the octahedron or tetrahedron next. You'll have to make a triangular selection, which again, You can use the magic wand tool for this. Let me go ahead and drag and drop that same image in here if I wanted to make that the cover. Okay, I'm going to shrink it down nice and small. Whoops, dragging the wrong thing. Here we go. Hold the shift key, shrink it down. Maybe I'll hold the alt key as well. Shrink towards the center. Okay. We won't be able to see the entirety of the thing, but I have kind of designed this with 3 different faces, so I might see if I'll be able to get a good triangular selection. So I can use W for my magic wand tool. It's sampling all the layers, so I can click on one of these triangular pieces. The other option would be to use the polygon lasso tool. So I'm going to press Control D to remove that selection. I could click on each corner and move, and then click and move and click and move, and that will create the selection I could use as well. And again, I'm going to do layer mask, reveal selection. The quick way to do that would be to press the little Japanese flag button on the layers window. When I press that button, it does the same thing. It creates a layer mask. Okay. If you want to move around your image in the mask before you start copying and pasting, you can uncheck the little chain link icon here, and using your selection tool we can move the picture around. Maybe I want to scale it up while maintaining that mask. Okay, and when I'm happy with what I have, I will go ahead and relink so that I can alt click and drag the entire thing, nudge it into place. Whoops, I hit the delete key when I meant to hit the arrow key on my keyboard. Nudge it into place. Okay. I'm going to nudge these little triangular faces into place, and then maybe I'll hold shift and I'll select all 4 of these, and I'm going to press Control J to make a duplicate copy. I should have 8 layers now. Yep, I'm going to Control T to transform, rotate 180 degrees, and look at that. They should fit right on in there. So this file is ready to be saved. Control S. All right, it's no longer just an octahedron, it's my last name, octahedron. Go ahead and spit out a JPEG, export as JPEG. It always wants to do good. I want to make everything great. But, oh well. So it's already got the name. I'm going to throw it right onto the desktop. And then when it comes time to print, you have 2 options. Okay, I'll move this guideline out of the way. It's not going to print anyway. When it's time to print, I can do File, Print, and print it from Photoshop. But I can also print the JPEG copy. That's also an option. One thing that's kind of fun when you're printing through Photoshop is you have the ability to customize the scale. Right now it's at 100%, but I see I've got a little bit of wiggle room, so I could try scaling it up to 101 or 102 if I really wanted to. Go ahead and hit cancel. Now let me show you what it would look like to print from the desktop. So minimize that. I've got my cube template and my octahedron template as JPEGs. If I right click on the JPEG and ask it to print, I also get to choose the size that I'm doing. So you know, I might want the octahedron at this size. That's great. I can just check the box to fit the picture to the frame, which will scale it up a little bit. The other option is, what if I wanted to print this much larger on 11 by 17 paper? Well, I can choose 11 by 17 paper, and then I will tell it to fit to the frame, so it'll make it as big as it can be. And then for my options, I'm fairly certain I keep the 11 by 17 paper in tray 2 of the printer. So let's go, let's see, print properties. Show me the properties. Not doing it. Well, I could hit print and hope for the best, hope that it comes out on the right page, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. I wonder why it's blanking out. Nope, finally showed up. Okay, so paper size 11 by 17, paper source, auto select. It may hang if you do that. So if you want to print on 11 by 17, make sure you increase to tray 2 as your paper source. Everything else you can leave the same. The paper is fairly thick, but you can leave it unspecified. The print quality will turn out just fine. Alright, so this is going to give me a big tetrahedron to cut and assemble and fold. That'll be fun. Remember, these are designed to be printed on 8.5 by 11, so I'll go ahead and do File, Print, and I'll print one on 8.5 by 11 as well. Only need 1 copy today. Print that out. Little gumdrops. And you can do the same thing for your cube if you see fit. File, print. Now, if you're noticing that your artwork is obscuring the lines, you could take all of your layers and switch them from normal mode to multiply. That will make them somewhat transparent so that the black guidelines where you're meant to fold the template show up a little more. Okay, so when it's, let me zoom in on one of the overlapping areas. You can see the line where you would fold. If I switch this back to normal mode, sometimes that could be obscured. So it looks like I did a pretty good job not obscuring it. This one's a little bit obscured, but when we change to multiply, then it becomes bolder. So that's a simple fix. As long as the background of your template is on white paper, you'll be good to go. You can kind of see what multiply is doing for us up here because it was a little bit out of alignment. Select that and nudge it down, nudge it over. Cool. So save, print it out. Alright, so I'll leave these copies. Whoa, that's a little on the large side. So let's do scale to fit media. Switch the layout so it's getting the most out of the paper. And then I'll uncheck this. What if I change it to 105 and hit the tab key? A little too big. 104, 103. I could also uncheck center if I need to move it around, because I could probably go a little bit larger. See, it's okay if the tabs get cut off a bit when I print it, because that is going to be blank white paper anyway. So I can squeeze an extra percentage or two out of the size of my files, but also, you know, there's no harm. Just leave it 100, center it. It'll work out just fine. So I'll hit the print button, and then my print will be waiting for me. Okay, so in the end, we're going to want to have some really, really nice polyhedra that look like this. Okay, you can see some examples here. I'll have examples in the classroom. There's cube, tetrahedron, octahedron, and icosahedron, and the most difficult to pull off, the dodecahedron. So again, I would start, they're in kind of descending order of difficulty to be successful with. When you click the little link, it will take you directly to the file. So if you want to do a cube first, hit the cube, download the cube, and then you'll have your template. Okay, fire that up in Photoshop and have fun with this, gang.